So every so often, I'll show you clips from the Russian media monitor. They do incredible work, and then I'll try to unpack it. And I'm very selective about what I choose to use from their material. They do a lot of work. It's all good stuff. But I try to highlight certain things. If you don't know me, my name is Gerdes. I'm just a professor trying to help you have some context in the war in Ukraine. A few days ago, an Il-76. It's a Russian transport plane was shot down by the Ukrainians near Belgorod, just on the other side of Belgorod. And there was a very big boom that seems to be consistent with something on board that would make it go boom extra. And the Russians then came out and said that there were POWs on board. And just today, or yesterday, I guess it was, and just yesterday, the Ukrainian authority said we have no evidence that that was the case. And so we're trying to unpack what's going on. So here's Vladimir Solovyov talking about it. And he's talking about some other things as well. And this one was extra fun for some reason because he also had some technical difficulties that just made him look absurd. Now, I clip between each statement to make it go faster. But when he gets to the technical difficulties, you're going to feel the delay. So let's watch it. It'll be fun. Thank you. Special thanks to the Russian Media Monitor. Hello, dear friends. Telegram channel Solovyov. Solovyov Live, Vesti FM. We're starting our broadcast. Is today Tatiana's day or is it not? Guys, the mood, of course, isn't happy or jolly because of what happened yesterday. Our pilots have perished, along with attendants, staff of the Defense Ministry of the Russian Federation. 65 Ukrainian POWs have perished. I'm sure his heart is broken for the 65 POWs that have theoretically perished. 12 of them were Azov members. Question is, who did it and what for? Well, let's just think about this. Who's most likely to do it, to shoot down a Russian plane? Ukrainians. Okay. Did they know that POWs were on board? No, because you made it up. So the assumption here is that there were POWs and Ukraine is, they're doing this because that's how Ukrainians are. And notice how Russians invented this narrative and then run with the narrative and expand the narrative. It's fascinating to watch. This is a fundamentally important question. Let's listen to the statement by Igor Konashenkov, Lieutenant General, official representative of the Russian Defense Ministry. Now, that kind of means nothing because the Russians tend to lie about, well, everything war related. And they think that that's okay. And they think the other side does too. But their credibility is, there is no credibility. So what they have to say in their official statements don't really matter much. Guys, please figure out what's going on with your equipment. Does the sound engineer understand anything or not? Notice this delay? I'm enraged since yesterday with what's going on. On top of that, for the last several years, our techies aren't capable of figuring out what to do in preparation for the broadcast. Wait a minute, I thought you had a very important show on Russian news. Ukrainians consider those who surrender to be traitors. They are trying to destroy them at any cost. By the way, I'm not ready to forgive them. Okay, let's stop there for a moment. So it's a made-up narrative that there are POWs on board, and then you say, well, why did Ukraine shoot down POWs? And it's because they're these bad people, and like it's like expanding on a lie with another lie with another lie, or at least false information, if not a lie. A lie, you're saying the wrong thing, and false information, it's still wrong, it's still false. You just don't know that it is false. To me, they are our enemies. POWs or not POWs, to me, they're enemies. This operation was being prepared in secret, but it wasn't secret for Zelensky. Oh, okay, so it's not just that they shot it down and they did it for malicious reasons. Zelensky was in on it. Okay. He de facto announced it. Here's what he said one day earlier. Here's the proof. Waiting. Put Zelensky on! Waiting. Technical difficulties. Directors stop working altogether. When I step out, I will... Fine, I'll put it on myself. Directors and editors, if you aren't capable of understanding what's going on, you have an entire channel where you could write me. Still pausing. Technical difficulties. It's so fun to host a program and fight your own team. Oi! During the night, Zelensky tried to distance himself, demanding an international investigation. Let me remind you, there can't be any international investigation. There should be an investigation, but not on our territory. Well, that is where the plane crashed. So that is where you would have the investigation, because you're saying that all these people are now dead. They only recovered 5 bodies that we were aware of. And if you had the bodies, you would produce them. So what's going on exactly? It should be on the territory of Ukraine, because that makes sense, where the missile came from rather than where the plane went down. Don't check the plane. From where the missiles have been launched. An international investigation should have access to documents and everything else. Although that doesn't really matter, but okay. This was the Ukrainian part. Now let's talk about us. Why weren't those missiles shot down? We should investigate that. Why deep within our territory? No, you were only like, 30 kilometers to Belgorod, and it was just on the other side of Belgorod. It's not deep within your territory. Deep within your territory are the oil refinery and the gas export depots those were deep within your territory. Like we're talking 1,000 kilometers in some cases. On approach to Belgorod, wasn't approach to Belgorod, it was leaving Belgorod is what it looked like. So, I mean, like all the facts are wrong here. An aircraft was attacked and downed. That is a systemic issue. The Defense Ministry is certainly looking into it. Are there issues with our equipment? That is, in service with our air defense? I'm sure that's not the case. Our equipment is the best in the world. Yeah, and you have the second best army in Ukraine. That's why we should understand what happened. Our base was struck. What was it? Another drone got through? What's going on? Well, it turns out that you invaded your neighbor and your neighbor doesn't like that. And so now they're hitting back because they have the ability to hit back, and you're a really big country and you can't defend your entire big country, and they can strike at will in multiple places that you don't have air defense because you put your air defense in their country. It's pretty simple, really. It's understood that we have a gigantic front line. We understand about the saturation, say what is needed, what should be given, whom should we arm. It is clear that they will try anything before our elections. Okay, wait a minute. This is not about your elections. Your elections are already a foregone conclusion. Everybody knows that. Nobody doubts that Putin is going to win. It's not trying to subvert your elections. I clearly understand that Ukraine will try anything to strike deep into the territory of the Russian Federation to shoot down aerial targets. This is part of their pre-planned campaign aiming to disrupt our presidential elections. No. Wait, maybe he's right. Maybe it was the Ukrainians that started this war by causing the Russians to invade so that they could overthrow Putin in the elections. Probably not. Now, what has to be done for Russian skies to be safe? What should be done? There's no need to think that the war is over, that we already won. No. The West is not planning to surrender. No, the West isn't weak. The West is a committed Russophobe and will do everything to destroy... Oh, now, hold on a second. The West is a committed Russophobe, but the West really wasn't even paying attention to you until you rolled over the borders in Ukraine. And then, maybe they showed that they didn't like it, and they don't like you because what you're doing. So stop it. I mean, it's that simple. It's not a committed Russophobe. It's you're doing something bad that they don't like, that they are trying to help the innocent victim that you rolled across the border. So it's kind of like that. If it seems to someone here that the war is over, that this is it, Ukrainians are weak, that they're melting away. Okay, so why does he feel like he has to make such a strong case that the war isn't over and we can't just forget about it? Well, I got a little insight the other day, shortly after this was produced. The guy that is the troll troller reached out to me and said, "Hey, look, I want to tell you some things." Now, if you remember the troll troller, this was him. I did these videos about how to troll Russian trolls, and this guy is genius. He trolls Russians. He did it again, I highly recommend that you go back and see these videos. I'll put them at the end. I'll put them in the description below. Okay, so here's what happened. So I was talking to the troll troller, and he told me that there's a large number of new troll trollers now. I asked him how many, and he didn't tell me, but he said a lot. Okay. He said that the Russians are very jumpy, and they now started shouting down or banning anyone who speaks negatively about the special military operation. And this was actually great, because what he's looking to do now is he switched and he's focused on being extra pro-Russian. And the idea is to distract from what's really going on at the front so that people don't send drones and supplies and other things. Now, in the same way that we're sending things to people in Ukraine that are at the front, the bandages and tourniquets and equipment and drones, all kinds of things, Russians are doing that kind of thing too. And so he's trying to be disruptive in that way. Now, if you happen to be on the Russian side, and I know that not everybody listening to me is going to be, pro-Ukraine. There's going to be trolls that are going to be listening to this. Good luck trying to find this guy, because it's not, there's no like organization here. They watch videos like this and then they go out and just do this independently, but there's more of them, more and more are increasingly so. Okay, so this is what's going on with the troll troller, and it's pretty amazing. And so Solovyov is like saying, like, don't forget that this thing's important and it's not over, and they're a powerful enemy. If he's saying that because he needs attention back on that subject. So for multiple reasons, you're seeing why this is an important thing, because they paint this narrative. They make a lie, and then they extend the lie and extend the lie to paint this narrative. But he's also, if he's talking about don't forget that this is important and this is going on, my guess is that people are kind of tuning out from this within Russia. Okay, tell me what you think about this. Thank you for your comments below. Thank you if you're interested in helping the troll troller do what he does. This is not something that I do necessarily, but I highlighted this and I interact with him because I'm so interested in the context. He provides me such valuable insight into the way that Russians actually think as they're leaving their comments in, on Telegram and other message boards. And by the way, you don't have to speak Russian in order to do this. There are English-speaking message boards as well. So if that's your cup of tea, then go nuts. You can support the effort by informing yourself, by helping Greg monetarily, by writing your congressman, by being a troll troller. You can do all these things. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the likes, the shares, the subscribes, and the coffees. And thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.